People have a lot of misconceptions about health in Japan. I'm from America, but I lived in Italy, and so I have learned a lot about food from both places. I'm going to talk about American food, my perspective, what I think is healthy, what I was taught in American education, and then Italy and how things work over there. And this is to compare it to Japanese health, which we will get to at the end. But first, my name is Tori. I'm a writer, I'm a traveler, I live in Japan, and I share all the things that I have been learning here in Japan. So if you are interested in Japan or travel or just the world in general, please subscribe to my channel. Please like this video and leave a comment for me in the comments below. I always love reading you guys' responses to my videos. But yeah, let's get back to health. So health is a science, but it's actually not as universal as you may think. Health standards can be very cultural, actually. And people have different ideas of what constitutes health, both physically and mentally, right? What is healthy? So yeah, before you watch this video, in the comments, please let me know what you think is healthy. Yeah, and if you're driving, if you're on the toilet, or just listening to me in the background, you can answer later. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think is healthy? Because it can be such an individual or collective thing. Let's agree on some things to start with. Yeah, too much of something can be bad. Balanced meals are good. Variety in your food is also very good. And exercise is very good. Now, if you agreed with all those things, you may think Japan is actually not very healthy. And we'll get to that again, like I said, later. Yeah, societies, measure these different types of things that I just mentioned very differently, collectively, What constitutes the things that I had said, right? Balanced meals are good. What is a balanced meal? Each region, each person may find those specifics very different. In America, right, we used to have a health pyramid that was like on the bottom, grains and bread and rice, and you're supposed to eat most of that in your day. And then it would be vegetables and fruits and meats and oils and sugars at the top, because that was included actually at one point in the pyramid. But these days, people want a more balanced meal. They want to have not a lot of carbs, especially if you're in the gym, not a lot of carbs, lots of protein, lots of vegetables, and fruits are really not even, I feel like fruits have fallen out of favor for a lot of Americans, and like no sugar, no carbs, cutting that completely. And it's true, but however, the American meals that people usually consume are really high in meats, really high in fats, saturated fats, really high in sugars, processed sugars, preservatives, not enough fiber, not enough vegetables. Americans consume a lot of fried, oily foods, and I'm talking about like the worst kind of oils, and that like high fructose corn syrup, sugar. Almost every meal you get in America is super processed. It's much harder to find fresh things in America, especially where I was from, in Atlanta. But health in Italy, is starkly different. Health, and I would say just food culture in general, not even like health, but food in general, is so important to the Italian lifestyle and tradition. I feel like, certain foods and dishes are literally considered national treasures, and each region is known for a dish. Each region has its own agricultural thing that it loves to make. And it's just really important to society. And it's less about the flavors of things, and really food is a lifestyle in Italy for a lot of people. And people have written about how in Italy, chilling, relaxing is also a big lifestyle thing there. And I feel like with Italy not being such a rich country, a lot of people being poor, just relaxing, eating good food, that is the life, having a nice bottle of wine and chilling. That is anyone can really ask for in Italy. That's just the way, And an example of this is when I was in Italy, I actually lived with a family in the mountains in the north. And this family was very poor. They, built their own house in like the side of a wall in a village. But they had a farm that their family had for generations passed down to them. And it wasn't super big. But, they had like trees, that they would plant fruit. They would have fresh greens. They had chickens. They even had like rabbits that they would keep for like their meat supply, for fresh meat. And so basically they could really live off of this land. They built their own mill to mill their own like seeds and stuff. They would trade for olive oil so they get fresh olive oil. They even like traded for grappa or alcohol and so on. So like everything was straight out of the ground fresh. And you know, very often like people would have to go to the market like if something's out of season or so on, sometimes for, you know, they need like an extra tomato or something. But yeah, generally speaking, everything was just super, super fresh. And listen, guys, there's no Michelin star restaurant on this planet that was as good as the food that I ate daily. And when everything that you consume, everything that you put in your body is fresh, good, organic, amazing stuff, like fresh cheese, you know, fresh everything. You literally, your whole body will change. Mine did. I wasn't getting like fatter. I was actually getting skinnier, surprisingly. Like I was literally sitting, lounging around, drinking espresso every day, and I was actually losing weight. I don't know how. Don't ask me how. I don't know. And I was eating like, you know, pasta daily, right? So in Italy, you have sweets in the morning, pastries, sugar, and then pasta, smothered in oil. When you're done with the pasta sauce and the pasta and there's still sauce laying around, you take a bread and you scoop up the sauce and you eat it. So it's just carb loading on carb loading. That is the way. I will literally go to my grave with the taste of Mama's torta verde in my mouth. You know what I mean? Like, period. And no matter how many desserts and sweets and cheeses I ate, man, my thighs were still fine. In Italy, yeah, even though many people, after eating so much pasta and oil, like, it does get to you, even though many people may be unhealthy from what they eat because of the quality of their food, I think, many people live, like, you know, to be 100 years old. They're very, very healthy people in Italy. It's like one of those blue zone places or whatever. I don't know if that's real science. I'm not a doctor, but it's one of those fancy zones where people live for a really long time. And of course, it's also a place that like everybody smokes like crazy, but they're still living really long lives. And it's because of, I think, the quality of their life and the things that they consume. And that's not to say also that like all people in Italy live like this, like, but everybody I would say in Italy has a very big emphasis on food. And with this, right, I guess reputation of Italy having some of the best tomatoes, for example, in the world, with the best wine in the world. There are people that, you know, they want to hijack that reputation and, I guess, scam people, to be honest. And, you know, they have mafia, they have criminals, and they have just, like, shady business people so you have a lot of things like Italian leather that have good reputation, and then people who make horrible products, they sell them for a premium because they say things like made in Italy. So you can't always trust things that are saying made in Italy or Italian this and that. So you have, there are a lot of products out there that say that they're Italian and they are from Italy, but they're not good products. And yeah, things like pasta and wine are so abundant that it's very, very cheap to make. So you have a range of quality of these products, and eating any of these things in excess is very unhealthy. Even if it's like olive oil, and olive oil is one of the best, healthiest oils that you can have. But of course, if you eat too much of it, like it can really cause a lot of issues. And then there's the case of exercise. So in Italy, you also have a lot of opportunities to integrate your exercise, depending on where you are. And I say that as somebody who comes from America. Like, maybe Italians may argue, like, what do you mean if I live in a small village? Like, where am I going to walk to? But honestly, like, compared to America, you have a lot of places to walk to, trust me. But yeah, it doesn't take you very long to hop in a car and, like, go somewhere, go to the lake, spend all day there. A lot of people can't integrate, like, you know, their labor with their exercise. So they don't necessarily have to like seek it out. Of course, people do. There are gyms in Italy, you know, but people tend to have more of a culture of doing and having fun rather than, you know, setting aside that time to exercise and be healthy. It's just sort of integrating into what one does. on a daily or even like weekly basis, right? Because like also family and friendship and all that is also part of the culture. So, you know, going out and doing things with your family, like doing things, not just like sitting around the house or whatever, is, I think, a big part of the culture. And this is from me. Like, I'm not Italian, but I have lived with literally over a dozen families in Italy, and I've seen so much of Italy. Trust me, like, I'm always shocked by the stamina of Italian families, even when they're like, now we're just gonna chill and do nothing. Like, I'm still like, wow. like the people that work the hardest, play the hardest, they chill the hardest. And that's Italy, I think. But you didn't come here for Italy, okay? I came here for Japan. But before we get into Japan, I swear, I still have more things to talk about. And then the next is America. Hold your horses, okay? This is important. So where I lived in America is Atlanta, and practically the entire city is a food desert unless you live in a really rich area. A few months before I left Atlanta, it made national news that the West Side got a Walmart installed because for miles there was no stores where you could buy groceries. So yeah, a Walmart made national news. Thousands of people had no access to fresh groceries. They had like restaurants, but no produce, no where to go to get food, which is insane. This is a major city. Atlanta has the busiest airport in the world, and the West Side, didn't have a grocery store. And the best they got was a Walmart. Yeah, which is like the lowest form of products that you can get, let's be honest. But people were extremely happy about this Walmart. And of course to this day it makes me angry because, like, you know, the bare minimum is, you know, I think people of Atlanta deserve more. But anyway, off topic. The fact that thousands of people didn't have access to clean, healthy food is, it's not good. And I mean, sure, maybe it is kind of dramatic. Like, you could get food, right? But for you to go out of your way to get good, healthy food is, in my opinion, pretty unacceptable, especially when you live in a city that makes billions of dollars a year, right? So, why? And yeah, so I just felt like you really have to go the extra mile to get healthy food in America. And not to mention, you have to go the extra mile and you have to spend the extra money. And food in America is already insane. Like, the prices are crazy high. Plus, you also have to have time to cook everything, to make everything. And when you're working so many jobs that you have to do because you're in America, and it's rough out there, frankly. If you want to live in a city, it's like, how are you not working two jobs? Who has time to just constantly be worrying about their health? And there's little ways to integrate like exercise and things into your lifestyle. So in Atlanta, I did live next to a grocery store. It was very, very low quality, like fruit. It was a Kroger. So if you know Kroger, their produce is always going bad, but you know, I would do my best to find the best stuff. The tomatoes were always upsetting. I would cry every time I would eat a tomato in America, especially from Kroger. Your tomatoes are horrible. But more than just the produce, it was also the meat. And this is really, really big. American meat portions are unbelievably big. And there's a big controversy between Americans, right? A discussion. Do Americans eat too much protein or do they not eat enough protein? I think, you know, some people think that, you know, Americans eat so much protein, so much meat rather, not protein, but meat. So much meat that it's unsustainable. It's going to kill the earth. We have to stop and eat less meat. But many people say, well, we need more protein in our diet. So how are we going to get that if not meat? The problem is, American chickens, like if you go to the grocery store in Atlanta right now, you cannot find a normal chicken. Every chicken is massive. It's genetically modified, hormoned up, antibiotic up because they come from these giant, like, you know, factory farms. And frankly, they just taste horrible. They taste really bad. Like the eggs, the quality of eggs are also not good. Meat, you can get meat, like really thick slabs of meat for not super expensive, but it's never good quality again, like, you know, just covered in hormones and all this stuff. But it is possible still to get good meat. You just have to go to organic stores and pay like 3 times extra the money to get imported frozen meat from like Texas or something, right? Texas Angus or something, to get actually good quality meat. And of course, fish in Atlanta, like, honestly, don't even bother. It's literally the nastiest in the world. because of the way that it's processed, and none of it's fresh. Even if it comes out of the tank, it's not prepared right. And very often, if you go to like sushi restaurants, and you order like a certain fish, I guarantee you 9 times out of 10, or at least 3 times out of 10, you're not going to get that fish. Like, try ordering a salmon. I guarantee you it's not going to be an actual salmon. It's probably like tilapia or something that they painted pink, I swear. But anyway, enough about my ranting about Atlanta. Yeah, meat was really difficult for me to find that was good quality. And almost immediately after I came back from Italy, the many times that I went, I would balloon. I'd balloon. Like, I'd get pudgy immediately. Almost immediately. Like, almost psychologically, my brain was like, all right, time to turn into a balloon. Like, it's crazy. But one thing that did save me, right, how I navigated through, from what I learned in Italy, how I navigated through health in America, was the access to things like fruits and vegetables, right? We have a very large variety of those things, and, you know, the fresher they are, the better. So if you take a fresh fruit, if you find a fresh fruit, you put it in a blender, you drink it, it's gonna give you so many nutrients. And what I would do every single day is I go to Planet Smoothie, and there's so many smoothie shops around Atlanta, around America. You go to a smoothie shop, you order like a smoothie that's really low in sugar, or just has all fresh ingredients, no added sugar, including like, and Planet Smoothie is really good for this. I would not recommend Smoothie King. Do not go there. Literally, don't do it. This is not an endorsement from Planet Smoothie, but I love Planet Smoothie, so go there instead and get you the Tropical Detox Smoothie. Detox is not good. I don't like that word, but the important ingredient in that is ginger. And it's actually not very expensive. In the city, it was like $7. And I know that it's kind of expensive, but that was my meal replacement. That was my breakfast. I had it every day. My hair was beautiful. My nails are beautiful. And I have horrible nails. So when my nails get good, girl, that's how you know. That's how you know I was getting nutrients. So yeah, but when I came to Japan, yeah, no smoothie shops. So yeah, my nails, in fact, to being... Before we get into Japan, before I get ahead of myself, there's a matter of exercise. Yeah, America, it's so hard to exercise and integrate your exercises particularly, right? In order to have health, you have to be somebody who prioritizes it above certain things, literally. People often go to the gym and that's their only exercise because you're gonna hop into your car and go everywhere. You're not gonna walk everywhere most of the time. If you don't live in a walkable city, which most cities are not in America. So you have to hop in your car and go everywhere. When you go and hang out with people, you're probably not going to be doing very active things because there might not be a lot of active things around you. And again, this is from my experience in Atlanta. And so, yeah, you have to really set aside time for, you know, giving an extra mile to your food, giving an extra mile to preparing that food, buying that food, paying for that food, and then exercising. So you have to give your health almost, it's like a full-time job. Instead of just like, you know, having it just be a part of your life, it has to be something extra that you do, like a chore. So yeah, not good. So it is possible, yeah, to be healthy in America, but it's just, like I said, you just have to be that kind of person. It's not just like, it's not universal. That's why America has health problems. Fun fact. And I don't blame Americans, by the way, for this, the system that is literally forked against you, right? Because some person that decided to design a city just decided not to design it with human beings in mind and your quality of health in mind. I'm sorry for that. But you'll still pay for it. You'll still pay thousands of dollars in rent for, you know, shit like that. Anyway, sorry for ranting. Back, all right, so now to the star of the show. We're talking about Japan. Japan is walkable for the most part. Japan has healthy food for the most part. So Japan is healthy, right? Well, let's talk about Japanese diet. Japan is going to sound a lot better than how I made America sound, but again, does that make it healthy? Yeah, let's talk about the Japanese diet. Japan exports rice. It exports a lot of rice, which means that almost 100%, if not 100% of the rice in Japan is Japanese rice. It comes from Japan. That is to say that rice is a staple and it is eaten breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Kind of like pasta or, you know, carbs like bread in Europe or Italy or France. Rice is its own food group. I'm pretty sure when they did blood work on me, like I just started spewing out rice grains from my veins. And I personally really love rice. And rice is a carb, so it turns to sugar in the blood. And if you're from America or Italy or Europe or something, you're going to be used to eating a lot of fruits and veggies. And the portion sizes of fruits and vegetables in Japanese meals are extremely small, very small comparatively. Fruit is like not gonna be in your bento. You're gonna have to buy that separate, for the most part. And though milk exists and there is milk incorporated in some dishes in Japan, it's not a huge staple, I would say. Neither is cheese. A lot of cheese is very ultra processed and it's not real cheese. It's like American cheese in Japan. So dairy is like just straight up cut out of the Japanese diet for the most part. And again, like I understand you can add milk to your stuff. I'm just saying in general. And I know I'm going to get a lot of comments that are like, you can buy vegetables in Japan. You just go to the konbini and there's salads everywhere. But even in these salads, yeah, you're not going to get the same leafy greens. It's not going to be a balanced meal. A lot of these like vegetable dishes are really meant to be side dishes. They're really meant to not be the stars of the show. The stars of the show are always going to be like fried something, like fried meats, fried fish, fried, chicken, fried beef or whatever, and rice, just bathed in rice, And of course there's it's always fried chicken. And it's never a large meat portion. It's always those thin strips and stuff. Even when you go to like yakitori and stuff, you never see like thick slabs of meat like so many Americans are used to. I'm not even saying that that's healthy. I'm just saying that it's not like that here in Japan. You're gonna get small strips of meat, and maybe that's fine. I don't know. I personally don't need a ton of meat, but again, like the protein is very much lacking in Japanese diets. For me personally, I would literally spend over 1,000 yen in the grocery store picking out every piece of vegetable and loading it up with like all the fruits that I see or like the veggies that I see, to make it an actually balanced meal. And that's what I'm used to, is having a salad that is balanced. It's not just like only like leafy greens. It's a bunch of everything. And that is something that you're gonna have to make yourself basically in Japan. And I know I said that like dairy is not very important to the Japanese diet, and I do mean that. But dairy can still be integrated into your stuff here in Japan. Like there's this place called Aso. It's very famous. It has a volcano, one of the largest active volcanoes. And it's known for its milk, Aso milk it's called, and it's some of the best milk ever. I love this milk. So yeah, milk is a thing here in Japan, more so than other Asian countries, but again, it's just not the same as the milk consumption in say like Sweden or Europe or America. But I will say that the quality of these things are much better, right? Except for cheese. The quality of cheese here is not typically very good, but the quality of milk is really good. And that actually goes for almost everything that you see in Japan. Like the greens that I get, the farm fresh stuff that I get is usually from the local region, and it's just better for you. Tastes better too. And girl, I'm a calipater, I will eat those greens. And when I say that like Japanese meat portions are small, I mean like if you find a thicker steak, yeah, you're gonna be paying a lot more for it, and most importantly, it's still not gonna be nearly the size of the steak that you would get in America. Like Outback Steakhouse, I bet you they're like 4 times the size steak as what you would get in Japan. And again, I'm not complaining about the meat sizes because I'm not like a huge meat eater myself, but yeah. And a lot of the fruit too is imported. Many of the fruits that are in Japan are, like I said, really expensive. And I'm talking like $100 for, or like $80 for a melon, kind of expensive. Or they're like imported from other places. So the quality is not always very good for these products, but they will be more expensive. And you have places like smoothie shops and stuff that just don't have, the quality of ingredients that you might be used to. Like, for example, acai bowls have gotten pretty popular and trendy these days in Japan, but the access to the acai is like gone down quite a lot. So now the acai, if you're used to like these thick acais from America, yeah, like they incorporate like other things into the acai. So like the acai is like pink instead of purple, and like it doesn't have that rich flavor because it's not like 100%, you know what I mean? Like I find that in America they add a lot of sugar when something is really poor quality, and most things are. They add a lot of sugar to enhance the quality, enhance the flavor of the meal, because the ingredients alone are not good. You have to enhance it something else, so you add other bad shit. So in Japan, when it comes to fruits and stuff, they add things to it. And of course, there's also very high salt content. I know that Japan has done a good job in reeling in the salt content of things, because people were having a lot of issues with salt, literally dying because of how much salt that they were consuming on a regular basis. So these days, things are not as salty as they used to be, especially like ramen. Or maybe that's just where I'm from. Like in Japan, like my region is known for its ramen. We have the best ramen. So like a lot of people in Tokyo, they'll say like, oh no, we don't drink the broth. We don't drink broth in ramen because it's too salty. But here in where I am in Kumamoto, like everybody drinks the broth. The broth is part of the meal. Like, yeah. So, and it's not that salty. So I do think that they have brought in regulations on that. And same with sugar. And of course, when you don't have a lot of protein in your diet, it's going to affect your muscles. People here are not, as muscles, but I don't think that people have a very big emphasis on having muscles in Japan. I think people just work out and they get toned in that way. And, they drink protein shakes if they're trying to build up their strength. But strength training in general is just not very popular here. Like, for example, there is a very popular chain of gyms. There's not many gyms around comparatively, but there's a place called Choco Zap, and it's all over Japan. And you can go into these gyms, and it's just cycling, running, and dancing, or maybe one weight machine. So yeah, the emphasis on weight training is very small. There are of course gyms and people in Japan who really, really enjoy weightlifting. So not to say that there is none of that. There is definitely a lot of that, but it's a bit more rare, I would say. And I think that Japan excels in their health in the following ways. This is really important. Mark this down. In Japan, yeah, you have access to walkable cities. Yeah, you can walk anywhere. Frankly, I can walk anywhere. I can incorporate my exercise. I don't need to go out and exercise. I have that already. Number 2, access to fresh ingredients. So not only do some convenies have fresh ingredients, but any grocery store that I go to will have fresh ingredients, fresh produce, and it's all walkable, like I said. And I have many choices to go to. And this is, of course, mainly applicable to cities and so on, and suburbs in Japan. And there's also access to cheap, healthy food. So in America, if you buy food that is cheap, it's gonna be horrible for you. But if you go to a convenience in Japan and you buy a bento for $3 or $4 USD, yeah, US dollars, $3 or $4, you will have healthy food. You will have meals that are not covered in sugar, super highly processed. It's just fucking rice, seaweed, some veggies, and fresh shrimp or whatever. Seaweed, or you don't even have to eat meat. Some of them are straight up vegetarian. For breakfast, you can literally pop in the konbini. You can spend one US dollar on rice and an egg, and boom, that's your breakfast. It's really convenient. You don't have to be working a third job just to feed yourself and be healthy in Japan. But at the same time, the following reasons are what makes Japan unhealthy. There is not enough protein consumption. And I don't just mean meat, I mean protein in general. There is a lot of emphasis on weight. And I haven't even gone into this, but weight is essentially the methodology of people being oh, health equals weight. And that's not true. That's not necessarily good at all. Or you can have somebody who is really muscly. They work out every day and they just happen to eat more protein and be, I guess, not even overweight. Japan is very particular about weight. So if it's not the average, if you're just above average in muscle, yeah, then you're overweight, I imagine. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not healthy, Weight, emphasizing weight is just not a holistic approach to health. But Japan and weight is very interesting, and I don't want to demonize Japan for, I guess, like, you know, weight because it has been very successful. The population is, you know, they say it's one of the skinniest populations in the world, and that can be quite toxic, but at the same time, it has contributed to health in Japan. And finally, the thing that I would say is one of the most unhealthy things is the fact that all of the meat is fried. Like, it's so rare to find non-fried meat. Can you imagine, like, all the fats and oils and stuff going into the meat? And the meat's already, like, kind of small portion sized. So when you add, like, all this fried food, it's like, it's a wonder. You're wondering, like, how are people not fat? Like, for real, how is Japan skinny with all of this fried food? I don't get it. And all these carbs with the rice. Yeah. Like, if you want to get served meat in Japan, it's probably gonna be fried. For real. So my experience in Japan so far has been that I have lost weight. I've lost like 5 pounds. I know it's not that much, but like I'm pretty consistent in my weight. So I lost weight and I haven't really done anything different. Like, I do walk around a lot more because I'm able to, but I don't go to the gym. In fact, I used to go to the gym in America. I was a climber. I still climb. I still love climbing. But I was really into climbing. I climb all the time. And yeah, and so because I used to go to the gym, yeah, I'm just not as muscly anymore. I'm really not as strong. Like, yeah. And so I think like part of the weight that I've lost was muscle weight. Eating so much meat has really affected that. But since I also don't go to the gym, I don't really know like how weak I am. But I will say, like, being lighter feels good, like on my bones and so on. I don't know if that's placebo, but I certainly find that it's much easier to be healthy and to lose weight here. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite flavors of tea is this tea here, it says it's supposed to reduce your body fat. I didn't even know that that's what it said. Like, I didn't pay attention to it. I just really like the flavor. But it's also kind of nice. I'm like, okay, well, does this work? So far it has, shockingly. Like, it has actually worked. I don't understand it. And I think, so when I came to Japan, the sugar content, like, was leaving my body. I was getting, like, sugar cravings. I wanted sugar so badly. I was, like, jonesing for sugar, right? So nothing in Japan has the same amount of sugar as in America. Even the jelly, for example, I said this in my last video. Like, the jam doesn't even have the sort of sugar content that American jam has. So even sugary things are not even as sugary. So I have been weaned off of sugar. And now I only consume a healthier amount of sugar. So, like, it's changed my gut health. I don't feel just hungry randomly. Like, if I feel hungry, it's because I'm actually need to eat, you know? So I feel like just from that, it's just been so much easier to lose weight if I wanted to. I'm not currently on a diet or anything. Like, I'm not trying to lose weight, but yeah, it's just easier to be healthy. What can I say? I'm really not the kind of person that, like, thinks so much about my health. I don't really, like, I have a life to live outside of that, so... And I hate cooking. Like, I want to be honest with you guys, I fucking hate cooking. I don't have time for cooking. I always feel like I am super bad at cooking, so if I cook, I'm like, okay, well, I could have just gone and bought a bento anyway, so, and it would have tasted better, so I'd rather do that. So, yeah, this is coming from somebody who eats a lot of bento and a lot of just food that is available. So, and I have lost weight. I've lost weight from that. So, yeah, I would say that's a net positive. And I got my blood work done, as I mentioned, and I'm not deficient in anything. So, yeah, I'm losing weight. I'm not deficient. I'm doing it healthily. That's a good thing, guys. And even, and it's crazy too, like, the junk food is just not the same here. It's actually trash compared to American junk food. Like there's some snacks that I would die for, but the snacks here, you can't just, like, eat them until you, like, pass out. It's like, they will literally hurt your tummy if you eat a bunch of it. So, yeah. It almost has, like, a timer. You're like, okay, I'm gonna have this many snacks before my tummy hurts, so I will be punished if I continue my gluttony. But yeah, I do think that Japan does stress weight a lot, and I think it has affected me. I don't really, like I said, I haven't really thought about it before. But like here in Japan, your job actually is required to know your weight and know your health because it's sort of like their responsibility, your weight. So they just use that as like a metric of health, and that's just not, it's just stupid because like, you know, you're not going to tell your employee to like not smoke a pack a day because they're still going to do that. And I mean, granted, the smoking has gone down very much in Japan. It used to be like everybody smoking because it's just how you chill and take a break. But like, you know, since Tokyo has made it illegal to smoke in the street unless you're in designated areas, and you know, just it's just overall bad for your health, and it's been harder for people to smoke in Japan. People don't smoke as much. And then again, like there's drinking is not good for your health, but people still do it here, sometimes to excess. So yeah, you can be very unhealthy in Japan. You can be unhealthy anywhere. And yeah, if I know anybody that like drinks like one of these a day, tell me if that's unhealthy. Like I don't actually know how many of these you're allowed to drink. I just really like the flavor for whatever reason. So yeah, if they're unhealthy in any way, please tell us in the comments. I would love to know. So this is the end of the video. Thank you for making it so far. It's a long one. Please share your health standards in your country, like what you think constitutes as health, like what you believe is healthy, what people in your society do to maintain their health. Any and all comments, I would love to hear from you. And if I missed anything, please let me know. If I missed anything about Japan or just, you know, America, or yeah, something that you've noticed about stuff that I've said, please let me know in the comments. Please be nice to me, because I read them. But anyway, thank you so much for watching the entire video. If you watched the whole thing, I love you forever. Please subscribe and share this video with somebody. You better like and subscribe, or Chums here, my manager, is gonna sell me to the circus. So, you know. See you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.